Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really critical health issue, one that often flies under the radar, osteoporosis. They call it the silent disease, right? Because you often don't know what's happening until, bam, a fracture occurs. It really hits aging populations and post-menopausal women hard. But here's something interesting. What if these ancient plant remedies, maybe overlooked before, actually hold some profound secrets at the molecular level for bone health?
Precisely. And while the conventional treatments we have for osteoporosis are, definitely effective, there are understandable concerns. Things like side effects or just sticking with the treatment long term. That's leading a lot of people to look into phytotherapy, basically, herbal medicine as maybe a complementary path. So our goal today is really to cut through the noise, the hype, and give you an evidence-based look at these traditional remedies. How do they actually work?
Okay, that's fascinating. So let's dig into that. How can these herbs even start to help with bone loss? Which fundamentally is this imbalance, right? Where the cells that break down bone, the osteoclasts, get ahead of the ones that build bone, the osteoblasts. How do herbs interact there?
Yeah, what's really emerging, and it's quite revolutionary, is that many of these herbs seem to directly talk to your bone cells. They're essentially recalibrating the signals that control bone turnover. It's almost like hitting a reset button. We're seeing broadly four main ways they do this. First, they help balance this really crucial cellular switch. It's called the OPG Rankle-Rank axis. Think of it like the main traffic controller for bone cell buildup or breakdown. Many herbs improve the ratio, the OPG to Rankle ratio, which effectively puts the brakes on the osteoclasts, the demolition crew.
Okay, so influencing the controllers. What else?
Second, some herbs actually seem to boost the builders. They stimulate the osteoblasts, the bone-forming cells, activating specific internal pathways like 1-catenin and BMP. It's almost like giving your skeleton a natural nudge to build more.
Actively promoting growth. Interesting.
Third, and this is really key for postmenopausal osteoporosis, some herbs, like epimedium, for example, have compounds that mimic estrogen's bone protective effects. They act kind of like a natural hormone signal, helping to compensate when estrogen levels drop.
Right, okay. The phytoestrogen effect.
Exactly. And fourth, we can't forget inflammation and oxidative stress. Chronic inflammation is bad news for bones. So herbs like turmeric, well-known anti-inflammatories and antioxidants, they help clean up that environment, making it healthier for bone maintenance.
Wow, okay, so these aren't just vague wellness effects. They're really specific actions happening at the cellular level. But, whenever something seems powerful, the next question has to be safety. Because natural doesn't automatically mean safe, does it? What are the big safety things we need to be aware of?
That's an absolutely vital point. We really have to be clear about the evidence we have. A lot of the exciting findings are still preclinical lab studies, animal studies, not large-scale human trials yet. So safety concerns are definitely real. You can have direct toxicity. An example is Sorelia coralifolia, which has known links to liver toxicity, hepatotoxicity. Then there's contamination risk. Raw shilajit, for instance, has sometimes been found contaminated with heavy metals. And really important, drug-herb interactions, things like anticoagulants, blood thinners, interacting with herbs like epimedium or Salvia milturiza.
Okay, that's serious stuff.
It is. So the main takeaway, and this is non-negotiable really, no herb should ever be used specifically for osteoporosis without talking to and being supervised by a qualified healthcare professional.
Period.
A really crucial warning. Okay, so keeping that very firmly in mind, what does this mean for you, the listener, who might be looking for options that do have some solid backing? Which herbs actually have the best human evidence right now for improving bone density? Yeah, so based on the human clinical data available today, a few stand out. Epimedium species, you might know it as horny goatweed, also resveratrol, and Rhizoma drinariae, or gusuibu. These show the most promising results in human studies for improving bone mineral density, or BMD. And we also see real power in traditional formulas. Take Shanlingu Bao capsules, XLGB. It's a modern Chinese patent medicine. Studies show it can increase BMD, sometimes comparably to conventional drugs. And what's fascinating there is the synergy.
Synergy, how does that work?
Well, think of it like a team. The different herbs in the formula work together. They might enhance each other's positive effects, but also sometimes they can buffer or mitigate potential toxicity from one single ingredient. XLGB, for instance, contains that Sorelia I mentioned earlier. But the formulation seems to lessen its potential harm while boosting the overall bone benefit. It's quite sophisticated.
That synergy idea, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts and maybe even safer, that's really eye-opening. So it sounds like there are common threads, right? How these plants work, converging on pathways like OPG, Erenke, tackling inflammation, and why formulas might be key.
Absolutely. Those are the recurring themes. Hitting that OPG Arenkale balance point, the importance of reducing inflammation and oxidative stress, and, where relevant, the phytoestrogenic activity. And yes, the power of smart formulation, like an XLGB, shows how you can achieve multi-target effects and manage risks through that herbal teamwork.
So for you listening right now, perhaps the most accessible starting point is just bringing more anti-inflammatory culinary herbs into your kitchen, things like turmeric, ginger, rosemary, thyme. Adding those to your cooking offers gentle support. But again, and we have to stress this, any potent medicinal herb use needs expert guidance. Don't self-prescribe for serious conditions.
It's exactly right. It's so important to see these herbal interventions as powerful adjuncts, things that can work alongside but not replace a solid osteoporosis management plan. That plan should still include conventional medical care, enough calcium and vitamin D, and of course, regular weight-bearing exercise.
Couldn't agree more. It's about integration, not substitution. The real deep dive for you begins when you talk with your healthcare provider, integrating these insights carefully and safely. So think about it. What specific herb or maybe mechanism really stood out to you today? And what might you want to learn more about on your own journey to better, well-informed bone health?